Welcome to our English class. So dear students, hopefully you are well. The students of class 9 and 10, please get ready for our today's class, and our today's topic is completing a story. So from this class, you are going to learn about what is a fable, some tips on completing a story. You will get a moral lesson from the story. So fables. Here I am talking about fables because there is a connection between story and fables. So the characteristics of fables are: characters are animals, plants, inanimate objects or force of nature. So this is the second characteristic, and the first characteristic of fables is a story that teaches a lesson. And now the second is characters are animals, plants, inanimate objects or forces of nature. Now the third characteristic is animals talk and behave as humans. So today the story we are going to read is also a fable, because the story will teach us a lesson, and the characters of the story are also animals, and the animals talk and behave as humans. So now some tips on completing a story. You have to create a plot in terms of given outline. So in your exam script, you were given a portion of incomplete story. So with the help of plot, you have to complete it. Now the second one, you have to ensure that there is a moral lesson in your story. So the story may unfamiliar to you, but when you are trying to complete it, then you have to ensure that there is must a moral lesson. Third one, you have to use direct speech as much as possible. In this case, don't forget to use inverted comma. So it is necessary to use direct speech because direct speech gives the liveliness to the story. And the last one, your story will be brief and precise. So you have to write down the story in short. So, dear students, look at the picture. The picture is all about grapes, fox, and a fox who is trying his level best to get the ripe grapes from the bunches. So students, you all know that I am going to teach you a story today. Here in the picture, I have given you the clues that which story I am going to teach you. I hope you are talented enough to assume the name of the story. Yes, students, right you are. Today I am going to teach you the story named Grapes Are Sour. So let's start with the story. It was a sunny day and Fox was walking across the fields. So once a hungry fox was roaming around the fields about in search of food. So the next line, soon he came to a vineyard. So soon he reached to an orchard. Next line. As he came nearer, he could see some bunches of juicy grapes. So if I explain this line, then he saw some bunches of ripe grapes were hanging down a vine, and the mouth of the fox watered to eat them. Now, the next para and the first line. The fox looked carefully around him. So, if I explain this line, then the fox saw carefully here and there because he was afraid of the hunters. Next line. He had to make sure that he was safe from the hunters. So, he had to ensure that he was free from the hunters. Next line. He decided to steal some before anyone came along. So when he became sure about his safety, then he had decided that he would steal some grapes before anyone had came. Now, the next para and the first line. He jumped upwards, but he could not reach the grapes. Now I am explaining this line that the fox was very tempted at the sight of the ripe grapes, and he jumped it but failed to get the grapes because the grapes were hanging very high. Now the next line, he jumped again as high as he could. So he could not resist his temptation to have the taste of the ripe grapes. So he jumped as high as he could to reach the grapes. Now the next line, he still could not reach them, though he tried a lot, but he failed. Now the last line of this paragraph, the grapes were just too high for him. So the bunches of the ripe grapes were too high for the fox to reach. Now the next para and the first line. He was not ready to give up. So after doing all these things, he did not lose his hope. He backed up, took some running steps, and leapt into the air towards the grapes. So he used different tricks to get the grapes and satisfy his hunger. Now the last line of this para, again he failed to reach them, but he failed every time to reach the grapes. Now the first line of the last paragraph, it was getting dark and he was getting angry. So from this line, we get an idea that it was too late and it's getting night. The fox became very frustrated. Then the next line, his legs hurt with all that running and jumping. So the poor fox became very tired and his legs got hurt as he repeatedly and ceaselessly jumped to reach the bunches of the ripe grapes. At last he stopped it trying. So at last he could understand that there was no hope of getting the grapes. Now the last line of the last paragraph or the last line of the story is, he walked away. He said to himself, I don't really want those grapes. I'm sure they are too sour to eat. So, if I explain the last line, then he went away dejectedly and broken-heartedly. He consoled himself by murmuring, the grapes are sour, so do not wish to eat them. So that's all for the story. Now, the moral. So, Asher's fable of the fox and the grapes depicts our tendency to despise what we fail to get. So, it means that it is a human tendency or a human quality that when we lose our all hopes to get something, then we console ourselves by saying that the thing is not good enough or not so important for us to get it. So now I will give you the meaning of some difficult words from the above text. So the first one is vineyard. So it means a plantation of grapevines. The next one, hunter. That means a person that hunts. The next one, bunches. A number of things growing or sustained together. Now the last one is give up. So give up means admit defeat. So dear students, that's all for my today's class. Please stay home and follow our classes. Thank you.